Okay, so this video I'm going to go through the review problems 19, 20, 21, and 22, which is asking you to determine if the given lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So I think the easy part, if there is even an easy part, is to kind of know what it means if something's parallel or perpendicular. Keeping in mind parallel, they have the same slope. In other words, their m is the same. Perpendicular, opposite reciprocal. So lines that have the same slope are parallel. Lines that have the opposite reciprocal would be perpendicular. If they don't have either of these, it's neither, obviously. Okay, so what we're left doing here is finding the slope of these lines. And obviously, or maybe not obviously, but as you can see, they're not in y equals mx plus b form. They're not in point slope form. They happen to be in standard form. And the m, the slope, is not evident. It's not sticking out to us. It's not staring us in the face. So we have a little bit of work to do. You have to go back to your literal equation work. In other words, solving for a variable, solving for y. I used to call it, when I was learning, just kind of moving things around to get one, in this case, y by itself on one side of the equal sign. So I'm going to move quicker through 19 and 20 because we did these today. But looking at 19, what I'm noticing is that there is no x in the problem. We have y plus 5 equals negative 12. There's no x. So that's kind of already telling me, like, that's probably going to mean something about my slope. Like, there might not be a slope, but I'm still going to go through this anyway just to double check. So let me write these down here. So we got x plus 5 equals negative 12. If I'm going to solve for y, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. That's leaving me y equals negative 17. And I'm done. Here's my equation. Y equals negative 17. There's no mx. So that means that my m is 0. This is a horizontal line, which would be down here at negative 17, cruising like that. So there is no slope. This has a 0 slope. 0 slope. So let's look at the second equation that goes with that, which is y minus x. No, scratch that. X minus y equals 10. So I'm just going to continue solving for y. I'm not going to cut any corners here because I see that this is going to be a negative y when I move this x, but I'll deal with that at the end. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. X minus x is 0. So we're left with, don't forget that minus sign. It's killer if you do. We have negative x plus 10. Okay, so I'm just about done. The only thing that's left is this negative sign. You can't just kind of disregard it. You have to do something about it. And really what that is, you could look at it a couple ways. Technically what's happening is that this is a negative 1y. So that would divide everything out by a negative 1. Since we're dividing by 1, everything's going to stay the same. But since it's negative, it's just going to change the sign. So if I have negative y equals negative x plus 10, I know a positive y is going to be the opposite of that because negative y and positive y are opposites of each other. So if a negative y is equal to this, the opposite of negative y is going to be the opposite of these two things. So it's going to be a positive x and a negative 10. Okay, so looking at that, so I didn't even really necessarily have to finish that because I'm already seeing that I have an m right here of 1. Or in other words, my slope is 1. We didn't have a slope over here. So this is a neither. Neither parallel nor perpendicular. And that was number 19. Yeah, so number 20. You got 3x minus 5y equals 10. And the other equation is, let me just write it over here, 10x plus 6y equals negative 36. Solving for my y, a trick if you're somebody who forgets that minus sign sometimes, put a circle around it, include the operation. It might help you remember not losing that sign. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides over here. 3x minus 3x is 0. Bring this down, I got negative 5y equals negative 3x plus 10. Now we're left with dividing everything by negative 5, and I'm dividing by negative 5 because this is a negative. Divide all this by negative 5. That means this and this. And this is where you have to really go back to your integer business and make sure you're being careful about negative signs, because it's the little things like this that you miss one of those negative signs and do everything else right, you're going to end up doing the problem wrong. So negative 5y divided by negative 5, that's y, perfect. And here we have this, negative 3x divided by negative 5. That's going to end up being a positive because negative divided by a negative is positive. So I can already see that my slope is going to be a positive 3/5 x. 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2, so minus 2. So this is going to be minus 2. There's my slope. Over here, starting this off, subtract 10x, subtract 10x, that equals 0. 6y equals negative 10x minus 36, dividing everything by 6, everything over here by 6. That means this term and this term. Don't forget the sign. So this is going to, 6y divided by 6 is y. Negative 10 divided by 6, we got that x right there. This is going to give me a negative because the 6 was positive, the 10 was negative. And negative 36 divided by positive 6 is going to be negative 6. So this is, you got to be diligent here. Looking at what we have here, you have to recognize that this is a fraction that can be simplified to negative 5 over 3x minus 6 is our whole equation there. Looking at this slope and this slope, I can see that a slope of 3/5 and a slope of negative 5/3, the opposite reciprocal. These two lines are perpendicular to each other because their slopes prove that. Here's the math that proves it. Okay, move on to 21. Moving on to 21, 2x minus y equals 10, and negative 4x minus 2y equals negative 8. So again, starting, got to get into slope-intercept form, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Okay. Do not forget that negative sign. Negative y equals negative 2x plus 10. So we're left kind of with the same thing we were on the number 19 with this negative y out here. We don't want a negative y, we want a positive y. Well, positive y and negative y are opposite of each other. So if this equals this, positive y is going to be the opposite of this. I'm going to solve this one differently than I did the first one. This one I'm going to actually divide it by negative 1. That's, mathematically, that's really what you're doing. So negative 1y divided by negative 1 equals y. Negative 2x divided by negative 1, that's going to be a positive 2x. And this is going to be 10 divided by negative 1 is going to be a minus 10. Basically, took the opposite of both of these terms that were up here. Negative 2x, positive 2x. 10, negative 10. Y, positive y, negative y. So here's my slope is 2. Sweet. Okay, so moving a little quicker. This is a negative 4x, so we're going to add 4x to both sides. That equals 0 still. Do not forget that sign. So notice how they keep doing that to you? They're like really testing you. And notice what I just did. I didn't write it down. Okay, 4x minus 8. Divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 2. That means this. My lead's going dead. And that means that. Negative 2y divided by negative 2, that's going to give me y. 4x divided by 2 is going to give me 2x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is going to give me negative 4. Here is my slope. It's a 2. This slope is a 2. So that tells me that number 21, since they have the same slope, is parallel. Awesome. Okay. Shall we do 22? 22, real quick. I'll do 22. I say real quick, I don't know how much quicker I can go, to be honest with you. Negative 2x minus 3y equals 9, and then the other equation is 4x plus 6y equals 24. I know a lot of you have already done these problems, so right now you'd be using this just to check yourself so you don't wreck yourself. Okay, so adding 2x, because it's a minus 2x, that equals 0. Do not forget that minus sign. Look, they did it again. What else is new, right? 2x plus 9. Divide everything by negative 3. Negative 3y divided by negative 3 is y. This is going to give us a slope of negative 2/3 x, because positive 2 divided by a negative 3, that's going to keep that negative. And then 9 divided by negative 3 is going to be a negative 3. So my slope is negative 2/3. Let's see what we got here. How do I start? Subtract 4x. So we have 6y equals negative 4x plus 24. Okay, just subtracted 4x from both sides. Now we're going to divide everything out by 6. 6y divided by 6 gives me y. Remembering to divide by both terms over here. Negative 4x divided by 6 is going to be negative 4 over 6x. And then this is going to be plus 24 divided by 6 is 4. This can be simplified to negative 2/3 x. So that would say that these are parallel. Okay. Let me go back to 21. Did I make a mistake back here on 21? No. Oh, no, I dropped my phone. Did I make a mistake on 21? Yes, I did. I apologize. I'm still going to post this video right here. This negative 2. I'm holding my phone now, so bear with it. I didn't put a negative sign right here, which makes this negative, which makes this not perpendicular. This is neither. Sorry about that. And I know we did this in class. That's why I was scratching my head for a second. Yes, so that's a positive 2. That's a negative 2. My bad. All right, so 21's a neither. 22, you got negative 2/3, negative 2/3. This one is parallel. All right, whew, sorry about that. All right, good luck.